Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Sports Show. My name is Scrimshaw. I'm back with football picks with Nathaniel Arfin. Coming out on a Thursday, I think moving forward, if I get him to record on Thursdays. I'm saying all of this to shame you into creating a permanent time slot for this. By the way,
I hope that I can abide.
well, if you yeah, well, if you can't, um, you know, I will publicly shame you.
That seems fair.
Obviously, not been the world's greatest week for the world at large, and for me personally, to go from the lines. Not super pumped about that, but does mean I'm probably gonna be doing more sports content of this nature and of written nature for myself. Announcements will come at the suitable time, but yeah, I think a ramping up of sports content. Not I mean, if somebody is listening to this and is in a hiring position and would like to hire me, please, you know, reach out. My Twitter DMs are open. You can email me through my Substack. Like, you can get in touch if you want to. Um, but yeah, I think in the interregnum, going to be ramping up sports content on my own. Nathaniel Arfin, how are you feeling about the general state of the world right now?
The general state of the world, I mean, super pumped up that everything has been so great lately.
How are
Uh,
you feeling about the general slate of these games?
I do like the NFL slate this week. There's some entertaining games, a lot of in-division games, and some fun ones to watch. So looking forward to this week
Yeah,
and
it'll be
football.
a good weekend to not have to worry about the fate of global fucking democracy for a couple days. Dallas plus 7. I know it's Cooper
Uh,
Rush, but it's 7 points in division. I still maintain the Cowboys are a good team. That is not. I'm not saying they have played like a good team, but there is enough talent on that roster to make me think it's a good team. They hung with. I mean, they had a lead against the Niners at halftime. You know, I think they're a good team. Teams starting their quarterbacks in their first game tend to be fairly good ATS. I think the Cowboys still qualify as a good team. 7 points in division, home dog. Nothing intellectually about this specific matchup says it's going to go great, but the Eagles tend to play down to their competition, and we hit a big one. A money line win 2 weeks ago with the Jets Patriots, right? Where same thing, 7 points in division, just too much.
I don't disagree that the heavy line kind of goes against me here and the Eagles, but Cooper Rush is not a good quarterback. The last time he played the Eagles, now in fairness, this was in 2021. He started against the Eagles. Um, and let me just read you his box line from this game. The Eagles won this game 26 to 17. Cooper Rush threw the ball 38 times, 18 completions for 181 yards and one touchdown, taking throwing three interceptions.
Again, didn't Cooper Rush also beat the Vikings though at one point?
He is not a good quarterback. When did
Okay,
he beat
is
the
he a
one
meaningful
year?
downgrade over the Dak Prescott that we have seen so far this season?
Well, I don't think that the Cowboys are any good. I've never thought Dak Prescott was that good, but he has been able to ball out when it matters a lot. This makes me think that the whole team around him is just not there. The offensive line is bad. The running back options have been garbage. Like Zeke Elliott is 38 years old now. I actually don't know how old he is, just for the record.
38 years old. Never kissed a girl. Is that the line?
I'm glad I'm glad you got the reference. But the Cowboys are just
Tragically
bad.
hit for the win. R.I.P. Gord.
This it's a division game, so I don't love the line, but I gotta bet my birds because screw Dallas. And I think the Eagles will pull it off. Yeah, they have not looked good. We almost blew it against the Jags and the Giants, and we made it look better than it should have against the Bengals. But
You're just inability to play like to just like to just like step on a team's throat and hold there is pretty. That's the concern, I think.
it's incredibly frustrating. At no point does the defense get into a solid shutdown mode. They like they just haven't been getting home as much as I've expected them to. It's been better in recent weeks. And then the offense is just they start plodding as soon as they get the lead. And I don't know, the explosiveness isn't there. It's scary, but I still think we beat Dallas handily this week.
Okay, make your second pick.
My second pick will be the Vikings, only giving 7 points to the Jaguars. The Vikings are a much better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, before the show, you mentioned
Trevor
is
Lawrence is unlikely to play
unlikely to play.
per Rappaport. Yeah, per rap sheet. Um, uh, it should be Fat Mac Jones.
So Matt
Um,
Jones, this is a lateral quarterback move at this point in the season, in my opinion.
no, Fat Mac is way worse.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't seen Trevor Lawrence do anything that shows me he is a competent quarterback in this league.
I'm not claiming that Trevor Lawrence is like a god, but Mac Jones has been legitimately he got benched for Bailey Zappi last year.
This is a fair point. But the Vikings should win this game by more than 7. I'm surprised it's only 7.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that ends up at 7.5 or 8 by because this is all happening tonight. Like this is all happening now as we speak. It could move. Um, uh, I'm gonna tell you on that one. Just because I mean the Vikings defense is still pretty good. You know, they're not quite at the level. They haven't played at the level the last few weeks that they have normally, but you know they held the Colts pretty well in check last week. You know they covered the equivalent of this line against a substantially better AFC South team. And the thing about Mac Jones is that like the thing about the Vikings, I just don't have faith that Mac Jones is gonna be able to dink and dunk his way through because his decision making is terrible and he's completely immobile, and that just has a recipe for a ton of sacks against that defensive line. And the I think they're highest in the league in bringing pressure, and you know that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, they have speedy linebackers. They have great pass rushers. They don't actually have to blitz that often.
They
Um,
do blitz it off, and I think they blitz on something like 40% of dropbacks. Like they bring the heat a lot, even though they don't necessarily need to. And against Mac Jones, I think they're in real like I just don't think Mac's gonna be on his ass like 5 or 6 times.
yeah, if I'm playing props this weekend, I'm definitely gonna take the sacks for Minnesota and probably the over on interceptions, whatever it is. Basically any Minnesota defensive props, I'm there.
Yeah. Cardinals +1. The Jets aren't good. They beat a
Uh,
Texans team, but I think that said more about the Texans not actually being that good than it does anything about the Jets. Rodgers is still in the bottom 12 in basically every quarterback stat. Jets defense played better, but frankly, the Texans, I think we give the Texans offense this sheen that is like completely undeserved by this year's performances so far. And if we stop treating, you know, if we stop assuming that they're something like last year's offense and we judge them just on the evidence of this year, they're not a good team. Like they're not a good offense. They haven't played like a good offense at functionally any point this season. And so, I think people are potentially overrating the Jets from that. Are the Cardinals good? I don't know. They've beaten the Niners. They just beat the Bears convincingly. Kick the shit out of the Rams in week 2. They
they
seem
really don't know who
fine.
they are, the Cardinals as a team, and you know, Kyler is kind of finding a groove here. They beat the Dolphins, like they have beat some good teams, and they're hanging on for wins. I agree. 1 point, getting 1 point, it just seems free.
I mean, this we are the same people that said, how the hell, how the hell are the Jets favored
Yes.
against the Texans last week? Although, in fairness, I did say to you, we're going to say this, and then the Jets are going to win, right? But like, I just don't think this Jets team needs to prove this to me for a consistent period of time before we start just blindly betting them as favorites against uh, you know, good teams.
I
Teams
mean,
in
Aaron
playoff
Rodgers
talks
is
right now.
still
Aren't the
15
Cardinals like
touchdowns.
I assume it's still true. Aren't the Cardinals like literally leading the NFC West?
Yes, they're 5-4 atop the NFC West. That is correct.
You know, no, now that is mostly the NFC West being a crap pile of mediocrities, but like, you know, negative point differential suggests they're probably now it's a 7 point, you know, um, negative point differential probably suggests they're overplaying their marks a bit. But like what I suspect that means is that when they play San Francisco later in the year, they're probably going to get curb stomped, right?
Yeah.
Because the Niners presumably will figure their shit out and end up winning 11 games or whatever. Um, you know,
The Cardinals just have a balanced offense too. Yeah, you know, Kyler's doing okay. He's not throwing a lot of interceptions. He only has three on the year. And James Conner, he's not at 1,000 yards. He's at 664. Um,
which is absolutely on pace for 1,000 yard season.
yeah, so uh, you know, it's a good balanced offense. I'm not expecting them to make any noise in the playoffs, but
I don't think
they
I'm
should
expecting them to make the playoffs, but
they should beat the Jets.
yeah, I mean 12th in offensive EPA, um, 11th in offensive success rate. Like that's how you win. You're telling me on this, I assume.
I am, yeah.
Okay, make your fourth selection.
My next pick is going to be the Detroit Lions. Uh, was 3.5, giving 3.5 to the Texans, who, as we just spoke about, lost to the Jets last week. Um, Detroit's actually pretty good. The Texans have shown us that they are not.
So here's the thing: are the Lions put up superficially good offensive results the last 2 weeks? They got out. They got outgained on both per play and a total yards basis against the Packers, and frankly, they came pretty close to having that happen against the Titans 2 weeks ago. Right? They are having everything go right for them in high leverage spots. They're having everything go right for them in big moments. They're running extremely hot on offensive fourth downs. They're running pretty hot on defensive fourth downs. Red zone looks good, but like that could regress. I don't. I think it's a stay away for me. But I think if anything, if this gets down to a three, I'll bet it. But I think a 3.5, man, like the Lions are regressing offensively. If you look at the fantasy stats the last couple weeks, I mean, yards per play is not really a fantasy stat, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, and that I think for me is that I think is the real concerning trend is we don't know we don't like if the Lions go cold on fourth downs, Houston could easily win this game. Houston's
Uh,
on the mini buy. That could help.
Jameson Williams, any sense on whether or not he will play?
I don't think we know,
Because that'll
but
be interesting.
especially with how much with how much they've used him this year. I'm going Titans plus 7.5.
Titans plus 7.5 against the Chargers.
So let me make the case. It's partially a Texans case. They did move the ball very well against the Lions 2 weeks ago, which is, I think, going to be pretty crucial here. But two, I just don't think Harbaugh is built to cover 7.5 point spreads, right? He loves dink and dunk. He loves slowing the game down, and that's just not conducive to covering. That's just not conducive to covering this size of spread because fundamentally, are the Chargers going to score 35 points? Probably not, right?
Yeah, this is the lowest total of the week at 39 points. So I'm with you on this one. There's just not enough. There's not enough points there for there to be a 7.5 point spread.
And I think the other thing is that, like, if you look at the Chargers, sort of numbers, they're 31st in the league in offensive success rate. Now they're, you know, 18th in EPA per play because, Herbert can still do Justin Herbert things, but that success rate number is a big problem. This is a battle of two top 10 EPA defenses. This is a battle of two top three success rate defenses, right? And if you're giving me 7.5 points in a game with, I had it. What's the total? 39.
Yeah,
A
39.
39 total. 7.5 points is way more valuable than a 7.5 total in, or with a 7.5 point spread in a game with a, trying to find your spread this week. Then say then like let's say we were getting Bengals 7.5, Bengals plus 7.5 on Thursday Night Football, right?
Hmm.
Because that's a game with what, a 52.5 total, right?
52.5, yeah.
Like I would feel way worse, even Vig aside, like betting that up to 7.5 if I somehow had like a free token or some bonus or promo or whatever. Because in that case, like it's just the defense is like I just don't know that. I think Harbaugh's just going to be content to run the ball 50 times.
It's this game is definitely just full stay away for me. From the line perspective, I can't see the Chargers. I don't know. How could they possibly score enough points to cover this?
I mean, the Chargers are somehow 5-3, which feels kind of crazy. Uh,
It
Here are
seems
the
made up.
AFC teams that have scored less points than the Chargers. Okay, the Chargers who have scored 159 so far this season, right? Cleveland, Tennessee, Miami, and the Patriots.
Miami's a surprise in there, but
Well, they were running Skylar Thompson out there for
that's true.
so many weeks. Like if and the Chargers, by the way, have had their bye, so it's like slightly deflated, but like we're talking one game here. You're just not looking at a situation where the Chargers offense has neutered Justin Herbert. And like, there have been rumors that, Harbaugh might trade Herbert, at some point, if this season didn't go well, go up and get a cheap quarterback. I don't think they're going to do that now, especially given they're 5-3. Like they're a playoff contender in the AFC. Especially since the like the AFC South is, unless you really believe in the Joe Flacco experience, the AFC South is probably not providing a wild card team. Um, maybe the Bengals could sneak a wild card, but I mean, if they lose tonight, they're already on 6 losses, and so it's probably just two. It's probably just Steelers and Ravens. You know, I think both of us kind of think the Broncos are frauds, and then who the fuck is stealing a playoff spot out of the AFC East, where it's the Bills at 7-2, and then it's Jets 3-6, Dolphins 2-6, Patriots 2-7. Like I think the Chargers have a clear path to a playoff spot, and I like this team, but I like them a hell of a lot more when they're playing up a level of competition than when they're playing down a level of competition.
I agree. This feels, yeah. I'm with you on this one.
Oh, you are going to tell? Okay, thought you said it
Yeah.
was a stay away.
No, I misspoke.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so
So you have them at 5 picks. I think I'm gonna do a double here,
okay.
just so that I don't have 2 picks at the end, which is bad podcasting. Um, Broncos 7.5. Yes, I think they're frauds. Chiefs bigger frauds. They played Monday Night Football. They played Monday Night Football. They played overtime. Like I think that combination probably doesn't help. The Chiefs have been very willing to play upward, down to the level of their competition. They are really not doing well ATS this year. Um, you know, Failed to cover against the Bengals. I think they did cover against the Falcons, but that was because people were weirdly exuberant about the Falcons that week. Only beat them by 5. Failed to cover against the Chargers. Did cover against the Saints, but that was a bit of bad luck and a bit of Derek Carr getting hurt at the end of the game. Beat the Niners fairly convincingly, but again, the Niners are not particularly good this year. Failed to cover against the Raiders. Failed to cover against the Bucks. Like this
That
is
is a
not a good
brutal
team
ATS record. Brutal.
because like this is not a team this is not a truly 8-0 team, right? And like
Yeah.
honestly, you know what this Chiefs team reminds me of? Your
The
Eagles of
Vikings.
last year.
Yeah.
Remember how they kept winning games and kept winning games and kept winning games, and the Philadelphia Inquirer kept writing, well, they just know how to win. And then they
Such
went and then they
ridiculous.
went out to Candlestick or whatever the hell the stadium that we should forever call Candlestick um is. And
Levi's Jeans
or
Stadium.
no, sorry. San Fran went out to Philadelphia, right? And they were 2.5 point road. San Francisco were 2.5 point road favorites, and we had to deal with like everybody in Philadelphia being like, "How dare they have us be underdogs in our building?" And then the Niners went and fucking destroyed them.
They're showing everyone why the Eagles were underdogs in their own building.
Didn't they win like 41-13 or some nonsense? Like this is like kind of my point. Like I just think like that's kind of what the Chiefs are. Now, I don't know that the Chiefs are gonna like completely face plant the way that your Eagles team did from that point on, right? But like they're an underwhelming team that is mostly not succeeding when the moment's right. the lights fall off, right? So this is what happened. By the way, it was 42-19.
Oh,
I was directionally correct. Would you like to know what happened to that Eagles team afterwards?
I remember it, and it wasn't great.
Yeah, but I would like to have some fun, okay?
Okay.
So you went to Dallas on Sunday
Yeah.
Night Football the next week. You lost by
Mhm.
20.
Yep.
You then went to Seattle on Monday Night Football without
Hmm.
Geno Smith, and you gave up an 87-yard touchdown drive to the NFL's whitest wannabe rapper, Drew Lock, to lose that game. You then
Cool.
beat the Giants by 8 in an unexpectedly close Christmas Day game. You lost to the Cardinals, despite the fact that, given all of that, you still controlled your destiny to win the division. And then you lost to the Giants again. Then you lost to the Giants on the final game of the season.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to the Chiefs. What I am saying is that the Chiefs are playing underwhelming football.
Yeah. That was rude. But
You know how you can avoid me going down misery lane with the Philadelphia Eagles.
how's that?
Read my fucking book, you asshole.
Touche.
Make your final pick.
Um, I'm not sure how this one hasn't come up, but the Bills are getting a 4 point it's a 4 point. Wow, let me try that one again. I'm
Bills
gonna
are
take
only
the
4 point.
Bills
Bills are only
4 point
4 point
dog.
favorites on the road against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes, thank you. Lost the ability to speak there for a moment. Um,
Also,
this,
fuck you. You stole my final pick.
yeah, I mean, Indianapolis has not been good. I don't know who their starting quarterback is today.
Oh, it's Joe Flacco to the end of the season.
Oh, they're really.
Oh yeah.
That is a terrible decision. I thought they were benching him for like a week. Oh man. Like this is just silliness.
No,
Um,
I saw it on the crawl for some sporting event I was watching.
that is brutal.
I mean, it's moronic because Flacco. I mean, what did I say on the pod last week and in a column last week and in a group chat I'm in last week, which is Flacco was fourth in the NFL by EPA and 17th by success rate, and the success rate was going to be way more predictive when you don't get the deep balls to connect.
Which has been Flacco's entire career. And again, it's not like they're going to win this year. They're not winning the Super Bowl. So what are they doing?
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. I mean, I guess the theory is that Richardson more of a viable trade chip if a team can convince themselves like, oh, he's only played like 7 8 NFL games.
Maybe he's more attractive, but I don't know. I hope so. I hope this is the right move for them because otherwise it looks really, really bad.
Yeah, like what are they going to do? Go back to him next year after benching him? I don't think there's a chance he's on the roster next year. Uh,
No, he can't be a Colt after this year.
there was a great oh god, I'm going to try and find it. There was a great tweet about this. Um, but you talk about what the Bills have been doing the last couple of weeks because it really does feel like after a couple um after a couple of bad performances, losing to Houston and losing on Sunday Night Football against Baltimore,
Yeah,
it
they
really does look like the Bills have gotten their ass back into gear.
I think they needed to just play the Jets in that tight game and almost make fools of themselves to really get into the groove. They beat Tennessee, they beat Seattle, they beat Miami. Now they're looking at playing another weak opponent. They're starting to look like the Buffalo Bills we expected them to be, and I really don't see a way for the Colts to step to the plate here.
I mean, it does seem like it really does seem like the Bills have found something. Um, okay, this is the tune I was trying to find. You know the you know the like it's the meme format. It's the flirting harassment meme.
Yeah.
You know, handsome guy. You know, oh that's sweet. Fat guys is the same says the same thing. You know, it's hello HR.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, 11 for 30, 8 sacks, turnover, 13 points. Oh, you're sweet. Anthony Richardson, 10 of 32, turnover, 20 points. Hello, human resources.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really the Richardson thing, and I was never a believer in Richardson coming out of Florida. Obviously, I'm a Gators fan, so like have watched more Anthony Richardson than I normally have watched about of these college quarterbacks. Never saw it, but like I just think that this is like a plainly ridiculous way of handling your number four overall quarterback. Who I mean, it's possible that the answer is Chris Ballard knows he's getting fired unless they somehow sneak a playoff spot, and so he's just putting like pure, you know, he's just putting pure, pressure to make the playoffs because Jim Irsay might be stupid enough to be like, oh, we were the seventh seed, don't fire me. Because
It's
like I just
possible.
I
I mean,
just refuse to believe that Shane Steichen is this stupid.
Chris Ballard is a really bad GM, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is all his doing. Um, but
Yeah. Also, can I just do one incredibly small tangent?
sure.
I need Dalton Kincaid. This might be the gayest thing I've ever said out loud. I need Dalton Kincaid to just like fucking take a shirtless selfie at some point and put it on Instagram. I swear to God. He's so fucking handsome. And there is like no shirtless evidence of him anywhere. It fucking drives me mental. Anyways, um, okay, you're taking Philadelphia, Minnesota, Arizona, Detroit, Tennessee, and Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo, Denver, Tennessee, Minnesota, Arizona, and Dallas. Um, Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Uh, Follow Nathaniel on Twitter at Arfin Nathaniel. Follow me on Twitter at Scrimshaw. Um, wow, I almost just started doing my outro rotely at
Oh,
this point. I think I'm gonna have to fix that. Um, uh, General political writing at scrimshawscripted.substack.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, comment, please help the algorithm. I talked yesterday about what I think the Harris campaign did right and wrong and what led to Tuesday's result. I am hoping to have Ryan Jakubowski back on the podcast to dig through the entrails of Tuesday's election results. An announcement will be forthcoming at some point soon about the future of any sports content that I do. Um, thanks for coming on, and thank you so much for listening to this week's edition of the NFL Pick Show, Scrimshaw Show.
thank you to everyone. Thank you.